Hello and welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Celluloid, where we talk about movies we love or movies we could potentially hate with a fiery passion.
Yes, very fiery.
I'm your host, Josh, and along with the
two
other
other hosts.
I'm one of three hosts.
Yeah.
We got to start figuring out how to say that fluently.
It's always you that messes it up.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah. So who are you, Corey?
I am Lee.
And who are you, Lee?
I'm Corey.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, how about that? I didn't know you guys were named Corey and Lee.
Yeah.
Corey and Lee. Okay. So, we're Josh, Corey, and Lee. And
Yeah,
so
that's his name.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, today we're going to talk about the thriller Duel.
It's our first Spielberg movie, and it's also his first Spielberg movie.
Anyway, yeah, so this movie was the launching of Steven Spielberg's career. It was like a student film. It was like, you go to film school and then you...
It was originally a TV movie.
Yeah.
So.
He created it. It was his first film that made him known. And first of all, we'll go through the plot here. But first of all, it was written by Richard Matheson.
It was based on a short story by him as well.
A short story. And it must have been super short. But we'll get to that. And then it was, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Dennis Weaver, who is basically the only person in the movie, besides a few extras, who kind of interact with him along his little journey. Billy Goldenberg wrote the music to this. The music was a lot of like high-pitched, kind of fast-paced thriller music. This movie gets intense as it goes along.
I wonder how John Williams would have written the music if they collaborated this early on.
That would have been intense. Okay, so here's the plot. David Mann, who is once again played by Dennis Weaver. David Mann is a middle-aged salesman driving on a business trip. On a 2-lane highway in the California desert, he encounters a grimy tanker truck. For some reason, the second time I watched this, I expected it to be red, but that's what I just remembered. I was like, I remember Optimus Prime.
Yeah, it's like some people remember Psycho as having red be the only color on the screen, even though it's entirely in black and white.
Yeah, it's
like
weird,
one of my
how you
teachers,
remember
my teacher, like eighth grade, and she's telling me about Psycho. Like she said, and then the entire screen turns red. And I watched the movie, and I'm like, no. This is all black and white. Still a great movie. This is all black and white. And I was like,
yeah. Let's see. So the tanker truck, which was grimy, it wasn't red. It was grimy. Grimy is a color now. But it was traveling slower than the speed limit and expelling sooty diesel exhaust. And so, man is driving behind him, and he's like, that's fake coughing there, man. And so he's like, okay, so I'm gonna pass him. Legally, I think. I think that's what he did. So he overtakes, but the truck roars past him and slows down again. So now we kind of have this little, the truck is, the grimy colored truck is trying to overtake him on the highway, and then they're having this little scuffle back and forth, even though it hasn't gotten rough yet. But anyway, the truck blasts its horn, and man leaves in the distance as he passes him again. So man just like speeds. So man is his last name, Mann. I'm not just calling him a man.
yeah, man.
He's a man.
His name was Guy Man.
He's dumb. Man.
Guy Man. And his middle name is Hugh Man. Guy Human Man.
No, it's Guy Human.
Guy Hugh Man.
And his brother's name is Buddy.
His middle name is Friend. Buddy, friend, man. Okay, back on the road here. Back on the road.
I see what you did there.
So anyway, so he sped off, and he can't see the truck behind him. Like he sped.
Yeah.
He sped. He broke the law, and so
breaking the law.
So after arriving at a gas station, man phones his wife, who is upset with him after an argument the previous night. So they're obviously having marital issues, I guess. So the gas station attendant refills man's car and mentions that it needs a new radiator hose. But man refuses to repair it because he's like, they all tell me that at every gas station I go to. They keep telling me to get the radiator hose changed. But he's like, that's what he thinks. Anyway, so back on the road, the truck which is past the gas station and continued on, blocks man's path each time he attempts to pass. So, after antagonizing man for some time, the unseen driver waves past, like, out his window. He's like, come on, just go ahead and pass. That's what man thinks he's doing. And so, like, indicating that, okay, you can go in front of me. But when man attempts to pass, he almost strikes an oncoming vehicle, realizing that the truck driver was
He's
actually
trying to kill me.
This
man is trying to kill me.
His little dialogue is, he's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me. I don't know what kind of accent he had.
It's just he just had a plain accent.
Yeah, it was funny though. Anyway, so he was trying to trick him into a fatal collision. So he passes the truck again using an unpaved turnout next to the highway. So he like takes one of those shortcuts you see in a video game, like, oh, I can break that. Don't cross the road sign thing.
Mm-hmm.
Break through that. Go on some dirt road and pass all the race cars. Anyway, so that's what he did, and then so then the truck catches up with him again. It tailgates him. They're going like 85, 90 miles an hour now, and then the truck starts bumping into his back, and he's like, oh, just like starting to sweat because he realizes that the truck behind him is like actually trying to kill him.
Yeah.
The truck driver's actually trying to kill him. And so anyway, man tries to lose him, so he just veers off the road and does all he can to stop, and the car's spinning out and everything, and then hits a fence, and the fence it breaks. And so then a guy comes up and he's like, "Sir, are you okay?" And by this time,
"You okay, sir?"
By this time,
he had a southern accent.
Yeah. By this time, the tanker drove past, but the guy there is like, "You okay, sir?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm just a little shaken up. I was run off the road or he was like, "What happened?" And then, well, I was run off the road by this tanker. And, so.
He's trying to kill me.
Propane
and propane accessories. Hank Hill is the truck driver.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway. I just wanted to sell your propane and propane accessories.
So then after he collides with the fence, he sees a diner across the way, and he's like, "Man, I need to go and clear my mind really quick." So not really quick. He needs peace.
Yeah.
He's scarred for life.
Peace and love.
He's a troubled man.
Yeah. I got that. You okay?
Go on.
Okay. And so he goes inside the diner, and he's like stumbling in there, and everybody inside the diner saw the collision outside when he crashed in the fence, and they're like, "Are you okay, mister?
You okay,
mister?
He's just got some whiplash."
Yeah.
Just whiplash.
And like he's not talking, he's just in shock. He's kind of dizzy, and the camera indicates that because like the camera guy obviously seems like he's drunk. He's like, it's kind of crazy. And anyway, so it follows him into the bathroom, and he's like, "Man, I need to take an aspirin," but not a Texan accent. No, he doesn't take the aspirin yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, so he's just like, he washes his face off.
You have the plot with you right there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going from my mind right now. But
it's probably gonna go right to the end right now. Like, oh, I forgot all this
the
other
end.
stuff.
He takes an aspirin.
When did he get the aspirin?
Where's the second? Anyway, so he goes and he sits down. He decides to order something. He's like, "Give me a cheese sandwich." What a weird lunch. I want a cheese sandwich.
A cheese sandwich.
Why not a sub sandwich with some pickles and
he don't like pickles.
Potatoes.
He don't like potatoes.
Okay. Anyway,
it wasn't even a grilled cheese sandwich. It was just a cheese.
It's just
sandwich.
a cheese sandwich.
He's sitting there at the diner.
Maybe
table.
it's a delicacy where he's from, whatever state he's from.
Yeah.
And a cheese sandwich
on rye.
On rye. Yeah, that's what he says. Cheese sandwich on rye. And so he's sitting there waiting for his cheese sandwich on rye.
Doesn't he spell out rye? R-Y-E?
Yeah, it's like, what other kind of rye is there? Okay. Anyway, so he's sitting there waiting for his cheese sandwich on RYE, and he's sitting there, and now comes the voiceover, the artistic voiceover, where he's talking to himself, and he's like, "Oh, what am I what am I gonna do here? I got to stop talking in a Texan accent because he has a plain accent. So he's sitting there. He's like, oh, what am I gonna do? I can't go back out on the road in case he's out there. And then he looks out the window, and there's the grimy colored truck driver, and it's
the grimy covered truck driver.
grimy colored truck, and it's sitting there, and he's like, oh no. And he looks around, and then he looks at all of these guys sitting up on the bar, and he's like, oh, what if it's one of them? And he starts looking at all their boots because
he noted that the driver wore cowboy boots when they were at the gas station.
Yeah, because all he saw was his feet walking under the tank driver. No, just the
tanker.
Tinker, yeah.
The tanker truck.
The trucker. Anyway, so he's looking at all the
They were
boots.
technically under the trucker too, because they were feet.
That's true. Yes. Anyway, he was looking at all the boots, and he's like, "Oh, is it that guy?" And then he looks up, and the guy's kind of like looking at him over his shoulder.
They can't see what you're
I know
doing.
they can't see it, but you guys can. And he's looking over the guy at the bar is looking over his shoulder, and he's like, "Oh, it's him."
There's something wrong with that boy over
him.
there.
Yeah, but then he gets up, he walks out, and then he gets in another truck and drives away. And he's like, "Oh, it's not him." And then there's like four guys left with cowboy boots on, with the same kind of cowboy boots. And he's like, oh my gosh. And so then I think he gets his cheese sandwich on rye.
Yeah.
Oh, he orders the aspirin with his cheese sandwich on RYE.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So he's waiting for aspirin. He gets his aspirin. He takes his aspirin. And
He downs the whole glass with that aspirin.
Yeah. And so he's looking around again. He sees another guy. And that guy gets up and he walks out, and he goes over to the tanker, and then he walks behind the tanker and drives another truck out. And it's like, oh man, which one is it? And so by this point, he looks over to a booth, and he sees a lone truck driver there. And he's looking at him, and he's like, okay, I just got to go up and talk to him, tell him to cut it out. So he gets up, and he, let's see. Yeah. So he studies all the patrons and confronts the man he believes is the truck driver. And offended, the driver strikes man in the stomach after man smacks the sandwich out of his hand. Like, who in the right mind? Like, the best way to solve conflict: smack their sandwich out of their hand. Okay. Anyway, so he punches him
Especially
in the stomach.
from a big boy.
Yeah, seriously.
Like I'm a big boy, and if you slap my sandwich out, even if you did it, Josh, I'd be TO'd.
Yeah. So he punches him square in the stomach and drives away in a different truck. Once again, man, where is this truck driver?
Yeah, man, where's the truck driver?
Yeah, man. No, I'm not talking to you, man. I'm just saying, man. Anyway, the pursuing truck leaves seconds later, indicating its driver was never inside the diner. So he just wasted all that time. Anyway, so man leaves the diner and stops to help a stranded school bus, but his front bumper becomes caught underneath the bus's rear bumper.
Oi!
Oh, the truck appears at the end of the tunnel. Man panics, manages to free his car after the bus driver gets out, tries to help him, and he's like, "Get off the hood of my car!"
This is probably the second most intense scene involving a school bus that I've seen. The first being Dirty Harry, which came out the same year.
Oh yeah, with Clint Eastwood.
Enough. Well, yeah, it's kind of a given. Clint Eastwood.
Well, yeah, because I'm just saying because we did a podcast with Clint Eastwood. Anyway, yeah. So we'll
do Dirty Harry at some point.
Yeah. So man panics. He manages to free his car, and with the help of the bus driver who's not supposed to sit on his hood.
Yeah.
And then he gets up on his hood and starts jumping on it himself, and he's like, well, okay, whatever. He's just more worried about his life at this point. Anyway, so he starts freaking out. He gets in his car and starts driving, and to his shock and slight chagrin, to a man's shock and slight chagrin, the truck starts pushing the bus and gets it moving. Like, oh, so the truck is helping the school bus, and it's trying to kill me. So he doesn't understand what's going on, and so he drives off, thinking that he lost the truck driver again. And so then he stops at some train tracks, and the train is passing by, and he's just waiting there, and then all of a sudden, the semi truck is behind him. Well, no, I guess it's not a semi. It's just a tanker.
Yeah.
By the way, on the tank it says flammable, so obviously you know that there's going to be some scuffle there. You know, it seems like a dangerous truck.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, so it appears behind him and it starts trying to push him into the oncoming train. And man is just freaking out at this point, and he's like stomping on his brakes, like, "Oh, I don't want to move," you know, everything like that. And so it's just taunting him at this point, like, stop it, like, you know, he doesn't want to get out too, because then he'll be without a car. His car will be smashed. Anyway, so then the train passes and he just speeds off. He goes as fast as he can down the road.
Yeah.
Then the truck passes and disappears, and then man finds it waiting for him further down the road. He sees it there. He stops his car, and then another car veers off like past him, and then man stops at a gas station to call the police and refuel his car. When he steps into a phone booth, the truck drives into it. Man jumps clear just in time before getting into his own car and speeding away, hiding behind an embankment as the truck drives past. And at this point, the truck driver was just driving in circles trying to hit him.
Yeah.
You know, it was getting real intense. Like, he was just flat out trying to kill him at this point. So, you know, after a long wait, man heads off again, but finds the truck waiting for him around the bend. Man stops his car, then attempts to speed past the stopped truck, but it moves across the road, blocking his way. He approaches the stopped truck on foot, but it drives slowly away, keeping just ahead of man. He seeks help from an older couple in a car, but they flee when the truck backs up toward them at speed. The truck stops before hitting man's car, then waves him past, taunting him again. It's like, okay, when is this going to end? This is like unrelenting assault. Like, you can't, it's intense at this point.
Yeah.
Corey, I believe you said, what do you say like halfway through this? Or Lee was like, this has no plot. And then Corey's like, it has no plot, but I could watch it forever. Like, it's intense. This movie is intense. Spielberg did a really good job making this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as intense as it was, exciting as it was. And so at this point, it's just more taunting, more assault from there. And at this point, they're just chasing each other now. It's full speed, the peak of the excitement. Man spins out and hits a rock wall. The truck speeds toward the car as man accelerates, drives up a dirt road, and his car is totaled right now, but he's still driving it. Like, wow, he's okay. But he drives up a dirt road and turns to face his opponent on a hill overlooking a canyon. He places his briefcase on the accelerator and steers toward the oncoming truck, jumping from the car at the last moment, and the tanker hits the car, which bursts into flames, which are like, it's some well-spent budget right there. And then it's pretty exciting at this point. And
it's pretty exciting at this point.
It's pretty exciting, like, throughout the whole thing.
At this point, it's exciting.
Yeah, and then the tanker, when it hits a car, bursts into flames, obscuring the truck driver's view, so the truck driver thinks he's hit him and he's going to kill him. He's killing him. And the truck driver plunges over a cliff. Above the wreckage, man sits exhausted at the cliff's edge. And he's, like, sitting there with no car and in the middle of nowhere, and he's like, well, everything just went down.
And he's thinking, like, why did this even happen in the first place?
I know. He's just sitting there, the sun's shining on him, and it's like this silhouette sunset shot, and he's just sitting there like, I'm so glad I'm alive. And then he thinks that for about a day until the sunset. He's like, I'm still so glad I'm alive. Anyway, so that was this movie.
My wife's not going to believe me.
Yeah, pretty much. I just spent a lot of time explaining the plot that really wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's a really shallow plot.
Yeah.
But Spielberg did a good job of keeping it intense all the way through. It's like you know when you go watch a short film and it has a very small plot, but it's good because it's short. It doesn't need a big plot to be good.
Yeah.
He turned that short film, he made it exciting enough to where he could stretch it out for an hour and a half and it would still be exciting all the way through. It's like watching Mad Max Fury Road. I know you haven't seen it, Corey, but Lee, you said you had, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching Mad Max Fury Road and you could literally explain the plot in one sentence.
Yeah, just like pretty much all the Mad Max
and
movies
it's
are like that.
fantastic. It's just it's exciting
Yeah.
because it's an action movie. It's a thriller. I mean, like you can't have such a huge plot, even though you go to James Bond movies or.
Well, some James Bond movies have some pretty intricate plots.
Yeah, I know. You go to James Bond movies.
Oh, I thought you were
some of those
still
have
saying-
plots. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's basically Duel right there. And let me just say one thing. This movie does things to you.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, it can make you pretty dangerous out on the roads. Like no joke.
I was there.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
I was there.
I didn't get any car wrecks. Okay, so we're just I really didn't get in any car wrecks though. That's a disclaimer. I did not get in any car wrecks.
But I was there.
No one was injured.
No one was injured.
It was just scary.
My innocence was injured.
Yes. Anyway,
I was at the scene of a crime.
so neither that's a word. Neither of you guys have seen this movie before, correct?
Not until this viewing.
Not until this viewing. What Corey, what was your initial thought of starting the movie, and what was your
Wait, are you talking to real
ending
Corey
thought?
or a fake Corey?
I'm talking to fake Corey. Guess we have switched identity. For some reason,
Okay.
I got stuck thinking that this was Corey and that was Lee. Okay, Lee. The real Lee, everybody. The one who's on the left on the
They can't see.
on the profile
on
picture.
the profile picture. He's the one on the left.
yeah. The one who's on the left, that's Lee.
The brightest one of all.
The brightest one of all, yeah. I'm like the one that looks like he's shining a flashlight in his face in a dark room. Anyway, and Corey, you just look like you're standing in a dimly lit room, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
That was a bathroom.
that was
I was in the tub.
We just used simple Photoshop. You were in the tub?
I was in the tub.
Everybody go look at the profile picture now. Okay.
I was fully clothed. I was fully clothed.
That's
Though.
true.
There was no water.
You're doing a little gun sign. You're like, yeah, I got a handgun. Handgun, get it? Anyway. Okay, so Lee, what was your initial Lee? You, Lee. Yes,
What
you.
was Lee's initial Lee?
What was my initially?
Yes. What was yours initially?
Like my thoughts of the movie?
Yeah. Like your initial thought of the movie was like, what is this? Or and
Yeah,
then at the end, at the beginning,
Like,
you were
I
like,
mean-
what is this? And at the end, you were like, what is this?
Yeah, because I mean, as intense as the movie is, like the entire time I was wondering, what is even going on here? Why is this truck driver chasing him?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
I was actually reading down here that apparently, like, all the license plates at the front of the truck, there's like so many.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Spielberg wanted to make it look like the truck driver was a serial killer, and all these plates came off of other people he'd killed whilst driving out on the road. So that's a little explanation there.
Yeah, that could make
And
sense.
also, whenever the driver who played the truck driver, when he asked Spielberg what his motivation was, Spielberg says, "You're a dirty, rotten, no good SOB." And then the guy was like, "Kid, you hired the right man."
But yeah, I mean, it is really intense all the way through. I mean, it starts off normal, but then you have the first encounter, and it immediately the tension just starts building and building. And it just keeps going until the climax when they just explode over the edge of the cliff.
Yeah.
But I mean, through the whole thing, I was like, what is even going on? Why is he being chased by this truck driver?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
See, I was just like, I love this. This is great. I'm enjoying this. I could watch this for 5 hours.
Yeah,
It's
pretty exciting all the way through. The cinematography was great.
Yeah.
For as low budget as Steven Spielberg had, what was his budget? Do you know?
I don't know. It should be on Wikipedia. It might be. But it was a TV. It was shot as a TV movie initially, so it probably wasn't that high at all.
Probably not. But I mean, yeah, I agree. This I don't know as much about it as you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the cinematography was pretty well done.
And it was shot in just 16 days.
13.
Well,
Its filming was completed in 13 days.
Initially, but when they added footage for
Oh.
a theatrical release, for like the school bus and the train part were added for the theatrical release because it wasn't long enough. So that took 3 days.
It said
So
that
total is 16 days.
It said that it was like 6 days longer than the scheduled 10 days. They planned to film this movie in 10 days.
Wow.
And so it turned into an hour and a half, pretty well made film.
Wait, is 6 days over schedule from when they're just filming as a TV movie or total? Because if they went 6 days over, then they wanted to film it in 4 days.
Well, no, they.
I mean 7 days.
16.
They wanted to film it in a week.
No, they filmed it in 16 days.
Total, or just when it was a TV movie?
Oh, when it was a TV movie, they filmed it in 13 days.
13.
And it was 3 days
3
longer
days.
than the scheduled 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. I don't know where to find this this
It should be on the info
production.
box. Well,
The budget was $450,000.
So yeah, it wasn't too high.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't very high, but it was really good for that.
Yeah.
You know, they made great use of that $450,000, and the cinematography was great. It was really well done. You know, on a 2-lane road, having to work with a 2-lane road and not a desert like in Mad Max.
Yeah.
Where you have unlimited room and time for these cranes and space for all this movement of the camera trucks, whatever. So I thought the cinematography was great. The dialogue was very decent. Like there wasn't a whole lot of extraneous, unneeded things like from like the Star Wars.
Like it all seemed natural. Like that's what you would say in this situation.
Yeah, like I literally when he's talking to himself in that position, like if I were in that position, I would be talking to myself. I'd be like, should I talk to one of those guys? That's how I talk.
Yeah.
Because I really closely related with this movie, not in the case where I was, chased by a truck driver, but I closely related to this because that's what I would do in a situation like that. I would talk to myself and ask myself questions. Should I go talk to that guy and see if he was the guy who was chasing me? Or what am I going to do?
Yeah.
He's trying to kill me. Like I talk to myself when I'm in danger all the time. Like this guy is holding a knife up to my neck. What am I going to do?
Mm.
Although I should probably not talk at that point and actually take action, but yeah. So,
like apparently this was partially based on a real experience by Richard Matheson. The story was based on it's inspired by an encounter that he's getting tailgated one night. It was actually the night after John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He was being tailgated by a truck driver. It definitely ended much better because but still it's probably a really weird experience, like being tailgated by somebody, especially when the president just got his head blasted open.
Yeah,
and then,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah,
because then you think all the killers are everywhere.
Yeah,
and that's like one thing about this. And you were talking about the serial killer. Thing that it was meant. All those license plates were meant to show that. And Lee, you were saying, I don't know what's going on. I think that would have been better revealed if there were like 50 license plates on the front of the car, because like then you would understand, there's a lot of license plates, I wonder why, and then you figure it out through the movie, like, maybe he's a serial killer, because there were only like 4 or 5 like from my memory, but
there weren't that many.
Like if he had more, I think that would have been communicated better. So
I don't know who, Dennis Weaver. I don't know who he kept reminding me of, because definitely I hadn't seen him in anything else. But I don't know if it's someone that I actually know or someone else that's famous. But throughout the movie, I was like, who does he remind me of? And still, I have not figured it out.
He had a very Tom Selleck mustache.
Yeah, that might have been it, but that just doesn't scream correct to me. So I don't know. But if any of you listening know of anyone else who might be reminding me of, just let me know. But it could be someone I know personally. Either way, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm just like, who does he remind me of?
Yeah, and something I forgot to mention. This was made in 1971. And he looked like a very generic 70s male,
middle-aged
male, like in the 70s.
Yeah,
that's what he looked like.
With a nice red Plymouth. It was a beautiful car.
And they chose that. And they chose that so that chose the red car so it'd stand out like from everything else.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else is red.
He's going on a business trip, and then this grimy, like it's the nice, pristine red Plymouth, followed and chased by the grimy colored tanker.
And
so,
you know why Spielberg chose that particular tanker? Because the front of it resembled a face.
yeah.
You know, because pretty much the driver and the truck through this whole movie are one. I mean, there's no we don't see the driver
right
at all.
Yeah, the driver's never shown. We don't know who he is, and like you see his hands pull gear shifts and clutches and stuff, and you see his feet walking, but he's always hidden, which gives this sense that the truck is actually the character. The truck is the one who's alive.
Yeah, they're pretty much synonymous.
Yeah, it's a interesting way of communicating that idea.
Yeah.
That the truck is its own character and the truck is the killer. It's like, Rubber. We need to see
Killdozer.
Rubber. Yeah, Killdozer or Rubber. Like
Killdozer's probably more accurate because it's a bulldozer.
Yeah,
kills people.
Like in Rubber, a rubber tire comes to life and starts killing people. Like
a Killdozer, a bulldozer comes to life and kills people.
But isn't it a Killdozer that comes to life? Okay.
The Killdozer gets possessed by spirits and kills people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steep.
Yeah, Killdozer. Lee wouldn't like it. Doesn't have much plot. It's just about a bulldozer.
Lee only likes movies with plots. Corey only likes movies that are
your
hilarious.
Description of the plot, I probably wouldn't much care for it. It could be funny to watch, depending on how.
I haven't seen it. I just heard about it from Adam Carolla. He talks about it all the time.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those ones that I wouldn't really like, but could be funny to watch just because of how silly it is.
Yeah, Lee only likes movies with plots. Corey only likes movies that are terribly made that they make him laugh, and I only like movies that are closely related to The Godfather. I'm joking.
Okay, because
I'm joking.
I was going to lay the smack down because being that Blade Runner and Star Wars are some of my favorite movies. I'm like, what? You think those are poorly made?
I'm joking. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah. I love movies that are poorly made, but they're not my favorites.
Okay, I understand.
But did you notice the scene where he's about to face off with the truck again, but he gets out of his car and there's an elderly couple driving along? Did you make a connection there with another Spielberg movie? It wasn't directed by Spielberg, but it was produced by Spielberg 14 years after this. So it was 1985.
Was it Invaders from the
No. It was Back to the Future.
Oh yeah,
it's like when Marty arrives.
It was an old couple though.
Both times it was an old couple in a car, and it's pretty much an old car both times. And he gets in. He comes back to 1955 and he goes there and talks to them. But then Back to the Future's like, "Don't stop, Wilbur, drive!"
But that's gonna surpass this.
Sonic. But then back in this one also, it's the wife that gets the man to not do anything with this person here.
Yeah,
this crazy person.
Crazy man.
This truck's trying to kill me. It's trying to kill me. Spielberg says that many European film critics found abstract concepts in the film, such as class struggle in America, but he just considers it high noon on wheels.
Yeah. High noon. We should do a podcast on high noon.
High noon.
Okay, so should we move on to content?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So content for this movie, very there's little language in this movie. It's pretty tame.
Yeah.
Something 12-year-old could handle, definitely.
I'd maybe put less.
Okay.
Because I was watching Back to the Future when I was 3, and that has a lot of language in it.
When I was 3. But there's nothing. I don't think there's anything suggestive in it except for the mom. There's his wife that he's talking to over the phone, and then she mentions something about.
He was practically trying to rape me. It was just
that
look over kids' heads.
Yeah.
Little kids don't know what that word is.
She even looked at her own children and made sure they were playing, and then she said it. But anyway, that could go over kids' heads. And in terms of violence, this is just heightened intensity. It's not too totally violent, except that that this imminent killing is it's present.
Yeah.
And so it's not violent as in violent where people are getting shot and stuff. And
Yeah.
people are dying,
Mm.
but it's violent in the terms of intensity. Like
Yeah.
this is intense. This entire movie makes you bite your nails down to where you don't have any hands.
Yeah, I've been having to get along without hands these past few days.
Yeah, just after watching that movie.
Yeah.
I would definitely say probably you would want to be 10 or older.
Yeah, because this movie could scare you.
Yeah,
Like,
it could be scary because of how crazy intense it gets.
It's kind of like I watched Dante's Peak when I was only like
first I thought you were going to say Dante's Pizza, and I was like, I need to see this movie.
Have you seen Dante's Peak?
No.
It's that Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton movie about a volcano, and like it's tearing up the whole town, and like this, like I'm not gonna spoil too much of it because you're gonna see it at some point. We're probably gonna do a podcast over, I can tell. But I'm just gonna say that movie freaked me out to no limits when I was like 7. But then I watched it again a few years back, and I was just like, this isn't, and it's okay.
yeah. Yep. So that's pretty much content. It's pretty tame except for the intensity. So make sure your chillin' can handle intensity.
You want to get on to
Yeah.
quality? Well,
Yeah.
I rated this an 8 out of 10.
Woo!
I absolutely loved it. I mean, it wasn't a perfect movie, that's why it's an 8, but it was still great.
No movie's perfect except The Godfather. No, I'm joking. I still haven't seen The Godfather. That's a disclaimer.
Let's see, other movies I rated an 8. I gave Her an 8. I gave Frantic an 8. Rocketeer and Castaway, both 8s. Finding Forrester, History of Violence. Yeah, they're all good movies.
Yeah. Let's see. Internet
See
movie
what
database.
Lee gave it first. See what Lee's gonna think.
I would probably give it maybe an 8.
There you go. I was afraid he's gonna give it a 4. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It was a very well made movie, despite the fact that it didn't really have much of a story.
Yeah.
Let's see. Internet movie database gave it a 7.7 out of 10. I gave it an 8. I feel like it's a pretty solid 8 out of 10 star movie. It's Steven Spielberg did a really, really good job with this.
Uh-huh.
Like, as his first, that's a pretty good way to get yourself noticed by making a movie this good. I don't know who, like, if Ebert was probably not, was he alive? He was probably alive. No. He's old. Ebert is.
Roger Ebert. He died a couple years back.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
But he was around back then. He was.
Yeah. I wonder if he reviewed this movie or anything. But anyway. It was. See, it had 1 Emmy win, 2 more wins, and 4 nominations. It was a very well-rounded movie, and he did a really good job drawing this movie out, keeping the attention of the viewers all the while not having much of a plot.
Yeah.
So the intensity was great. It's like I watched. Well, we'll get to Mad Max Fury Road someday. I really want to talk about that movie. Anyway, so yeah, I give it an 8.
Yeah.
It's solid 8.
There we go. 888.
888.
888.
And then
that's an average of 8.
Yep.
That's our total average.
Do you guys have any closing thoughts while I look
It
up
might
this?
have been reminding me of my high school band director, but I don't know how. I don't know. No, it probably wasn't him.
Just a thought that I had towards the end of it is that I don't have any idea what Spielberg's thoughts were, but it almost could have been like the entire thing was just him hallucinating.
Yeah.
Because as you go through the movie, it's like he's the only one that is seeing this truck.
Yeah. Well, except for the lady whose place got all wrecked with all the snakes and stuff.
Yeah.
But even still, he could have been hallucinating that too. Who knows?
It's true.
Who knows?
Do you want to pick a quote? Because I can't find anything.
Well, there isn't a whole lot in that movie that is quotable.
Like
maybe I can just do the tagline for the movie.
Maybe, yeah. But
Fear's the driving force.
I read that in the ending of the short story was a little bit different. That instead of like sitting down and like thinking about it, well, he did do a little bit of this in the movie. Like the short story ended that he's just so triumphant about it. He's like he's killed his prey or whatever. I mean he killed the predator.
Mm-hmm.
He was the prey the whole time, but something like that. But it's a little bit different. He wasn't like pondering and stuff. At least from what I read. I haven't read the short story. I probably will at some point.
I guess that concludes our episode for now. Yeah. So just remember, if there's ever a truck driver who's endangering my life, just
Yeah.
call the police.
Or you could stay tuned
Oh.
till Duel 2 Electric Boogaloo.
What?
Whatever. Okay.
Duel 2.
Electric Boogaloo.